Your sense of self comes from your traits, experiences, beliefs, and social roles. Like a river shaped by many streams, your identity forms from every moment you've lived. Among billions of people, you are one of a kind. This uniqueness just exists, as natural as your breathing. We often sort people into personality types. The Myers-Briggs system uses labels like INTP or ENFJ. These are based on how we prefer to engage with the world. Some of us get energy from being with others, while some recharge alone. Some rely on logic, others on values and feelings. These aren't rigid boxes, but paths we tend to follow. Your identity has two parts. The I is your watching awareness. The me holds your social roles and memories. The I sees your life unfold, while the me collects your stories. Researchers have mapped 5 main personality traits found across cultures. The Big Five includes openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. These mix in different amounts to create your unique character. Your personality stays fairly stable over time. Like a river that may shift slightly but keeps its main course, your core traits tend to last even as life changes. This gives you a sense of being the same person through the years. Yet you also adapt to different settings while staying true to yourself. Your self-concept starts forming in early childhood. It blends how you see yourself, how you value yourself, and who you hope to become. As a child, you began with simple ideas about who you were. With time, this picture gained depth and detail. Identity always forms within culture. Your cultural background shapes your sense of gender, class, and ethnic roles. Some cultures stress personal success, others value group harmony. These patterns become the background music of who you are. Even your name affects you. It's the first lens others use to see you. From your earliest days, your name has turned heads and set certain expectations. Research shows people may lean into what their names suggest. Your brain creates your sense of self. Areas like the prefrontal cortex weave past experiences into your life story. Your memories aren't stored like computer files, but rebuilt each time you recall them. Self-awareness begins around 18 months old. When toddlers first recognize themselves in mirrors, they start to see themselves as separate beings. From this grows the ability to think about your own thoughts and feelings.
Growing through teen years. The teen brain goes through big changes that help build identity. Brain connections get pruned and refined, while the decision-making areas keep developing. This creates perfect conditions for questioning old beliefs and trying new things. Teens often go through moratorium phases, times of exploring without committing. This might look like trying different styles, friend groups, or interests. This exploration builds a foundation for later choices. How teens explore identity links to their basic traits. Some search through openness to new ideas. Others build on existing strengths rather than seeking novelty. Neither way is better. Each fits who you are. Teen identity development doesn't follow a straight line. It speeds up and slows down, with times of rapid change followed by settling. Early teens often question childhood ideas. Middle teens actively explore options. Late teens begin making commitments. Some people adapt to change more easily than others. Those with high plasticity seek novelty and stay flexible in how they see themselves. They might change careers more readily or adapt quickly to new cultures. Beyond the Big Five traits, the ex-Hacko model adds honesty, humility. This shows how directly people deal with others. Some interact openly without much concern for status. Others might be more strategic in relationships. Psychologist Hans Eysenck focused on extroversion and neuroticism to explain behavior patterns like shyness. Extroversion shows whether we seek or avoid stimulation. Neuroticism reflects how strongly we react to challenges. The Enneagram describes 9 types with distinct patterns. Each type has core motivations and fears. The loyalist seeks safety in an uncertain world. The challenger works to stay strong when feeling weak. Research shows 5 main personality patterns: resilient types who adapt well to challenges, cautious types, impulsive types, private types, and confident types. Most people show elements of several patterns. Some frameworks add whether you're assertive, calm, confident, or turbulent, anxious, driven to improve. Neither is better. Each brings gifts and challenges. Turbulent types may feel more stress, but often push themselves to grow. Understanding yourself. People know themselves fairly well, but we all have blind spots. We usually know if we're outgoing or shy, neat or messy, but we often miss our own biases and thought patterns. We feel special emotions when we judge ourselves: shame, guilt, and pride. Unlike basic feelings like fear or joy, these complex emotions need self-awareness. They guide our social behavior and relationships. Self-esteem stays fairly stable throughout life. Like an immune system for your mind, healthy self-esteem helps you bounce back from setbacks. It's not just feeling good about yourself, but seeing yourself clearly and kindly. Some people put off making identity choices, drifting without deep commitment. This approach may feel free at first, but often leads to feeling disconnected later. We're better at knowing how others see us for our visible traits than our inner states. We can tell if people think we're talkative, but we're less sure if they see us as anxious or calm. How we organize our self-concept affects our well-being. Some people split their good and bad traits into separate boxes, seeing themselves as totally good at work but completely bad at relationships. This splitting reduces how real we feel to ourselves. People with more connected self-concepts feel more genuine. They see how their strengths and weaknesses link together. They might understand how their perfectionism creates both work success and personal stress. Your sense of worth can depend too much on achievements. When this happens, you might feel confident during success, but crushed by failure. True security comes from valuing who you are, not just what you do. Distress often comes when your actual self doesn't match your ideal self or who you think you should be. Gaps between who you are and who you want to be create sadness. Gaps between who you are and who you feel you should be create anxiety. How personality works. Your traits change from day to day, especially under stress. Your neatness might slip during busy times. Your reliability might falter when you're upset. These shifts don't mean your personality isn't real. They show how you adapt to changing needs. Your traits come from genes and experience. Research with twins suggests genes account for 30 to 50% of personality, with strong genetic links to extroversion and neuroticism. But these tendencies need the right settings to develop. A strong sense of self helps you resist peer pressure. When you know your values and limits, others have less power over your choices. This inner compass guides you throughout life. Brain scans show that feeling-oriented people use different brain areas than logical thinkers. Neither pattern is better. Each offers a different way to process information. Practical and imaginative types literally see the world differently. They notice different details in the same scene. These differences show up in brain scans. Researchers have found an unusual profile called Type O resilience. These rare people, 1 to 2%, adapt easily to change while staying emotionally stable. They bounce back quickly from setbacks and stay balanced under pressure. Carl Jung described rare personality growth that happens by facing the shadow, parts of yourself you've rejected. By working with these difficult aspects, some people develop unusual depth and wholeness. While most personality traits follow bell curves, with most people in the middle, extreme patterns might signal personality disorders or unusual development paths. Even these patterns contain adaptive elements, traits that help in some settings while causing problems in others. Some rare individuals reach what Jung called individuation, a state of psychological wholeness through working with trauma. They don't just survive challenges, but transform them into sources of wisdom and creativity. Personality and life paths. Your traits shape your life path in big ways. Research shows personality predicts job success, satisfaction, and even how long you'll live. Conscientious people often live longer. Extroverts with low neuroticism often report higher job satisfaction. Knowing yourself clearly leads to better career choices and stronger commitment. When you understand your values and strengths, you make choices that fit who you are. This creates meaning that keeps you going through challenges. For many, work becomes part of identity. When your job expresses who you are, it brings deep satisfaction. But this can also create risks if work becomes too central to how you value yourself. Active, engaged people tend to learn more throughout life. They seek out new experiences, ask questions, and stay curious. This creates a cycle where learning fuels more curiosity. Emotions affect thinking in powerful ways. Anxiety hampers reasoning even in very smart people. When you're anxious, your working memory shrinks and flexible thinking becomes harder. Your traits can change through certain approaches. Therapy can reduce perfectionism and increase openness. Through reflection and practice, patterns that seemed fixed might shift. Identity exploration can be helped by supportive settings. Programs that help teens reflect on values, explore possible futures, and connect with mentors can boost healthy identity development. Traits and environments work together to shape identity. For example, outgoing students explore cultural identity more actively in schools that welcome such exploration. Openness to experience and conscientiousness particularly help identity growth. Openness creates curiosity about different ways of being. Conscientiousness provides the focus to explore deeply. Emotional sensitivity, neuroticism, affects identity differently across life. In youth, it often holds back exploration. Later in life, this same sensitivity might trigger growth by showing when your life doesn't match your values. Your life story. Beyond traits lies another part of identity, the stories you tell about your life. How you interpret setbacks and successes strongly predicts happiness. Finding meaning in challenges leads to greater satisfaction than seeing them as random bad luck. Good life.
Your life story. Beyond traits lies another part of identity, the stories you tell about your life. How you interpret setbacks and successes strongly predicts happiness. Finding meaning in challenges leads to greater satisfaction than seeing them as random bad luck. Good life stories often include three elements: agency, taking action, connection with others, and finding meaning. Some chapters of your life might stress your choices and efforts. Others highlight relationships and support. The best stories weave these together in ways that make sense of both joys and sorrows. People with well-developed life stories often thrive more than those with positive traits alone. You might be outgoing and organized, yet struggle without a meaningful story that explains your experiences. Life stories develop within social contexts that may support or limit them. People from marginalized groups often need to create new narratives when dominant cultural stories don't fit their lives. Those who craft positive life stories, acknowledging difficulties while finding growth within them, show more resilience and purpose. These stories don't deny suffering, but integrate it into a larger picture of development. We learn about ourselves from multiple sources. How we see ourselves and how others see us both contain partial truths. Friends might notice strengths we take for granted or blind spots we miss. How others see us shapes our behavior over time. Being known as the funny one creates chances to express humor and get positive feedback, strengthening both the behavior and the identity. Culture deeply affects how we express ourselves. Some cultures value standing out. Others prize fitting in. The same trait might show up as direct speech in one culture or as commitment to group welfare in another. Self-esteem works differently across cultures too. In some places, it comes mainly from personal achievement. In others, fulfilling social duties provides the foundation for feeling good about yourself. Our personality traits reach far beyond momentary behaviors, influencing life trajectories in profound ways. Research has shown that personality predicts job longevity, success, and even lifespan. Those high in conscientiousness tend to live longer, perhaps through healthier habits and greater medical adherence. Those with higher extroversion and lower neuroticism often report greater job satisfaction and may advance more quickly in careers requiring social skills. These patterns don't determine destiny, but rather reflect tendencies that unfold over time through countless small choices and interactions. As you breathe deeply, consider how your own natural tendencies have shaped your path, not as limitations, but as currents that have carried you in certain directions. These currents don't control your journey, but provide a context within which you navigate, sometimes flowing with them, sometimes moving across them toward different shores. The clarity of our identity, how well we understand who we are and what matters to us, predicts higher career satisfaction and stronger commitment. When we have a clear sense of our values, strengths, and purposes, we can make choices that align with our authentic selves. This alignment creates a sense of coherence and meaning that sustains motivation even through challenges. Someone with clear identity might choose a career path that feels like a natural expression of who they are, rather than simply a way to earn a living. As your body relaxes more deeply, appreciate how self-knowledge creates the foundation for meaningful engagement with the world. This clarity doesn't require having everything figured out, but rather maintaining an ongoing dialogue with yourself about what feels true and important. This inner conversation continues throughout life, with each experience offering new insights about who you are and what matters most.
For many people, work becomes more than just a way to earn a living. It becomes part of who they are. This occupational identity, where work serves as a core self-symbol, links strongly with meaning and purpose. The teacher who sees education as a calling, the artist who expresses their vision through creation, the healthcare worker who embodies compassion through service, all experience work as an expression of identity, rather than merely a role. This integration can create profound satisfaction, but also carries risks. When work becomes too central to identity, setbacks in career can feel like personal failures, and the boundaries between professional and personal life may blur, increasing burnout risk. As your awareness becomes increasingly peaceful, consider the place of work in your own sense of self. Perhaps certain activities or contributions feel particularly aligned with who you are, creating a sense of authenticity when engaged in them. This alignment brings richness to life while also inviting reflection on balance. Our personality traits influence not just what we do, but how we learn and develop cognitively. Activity-oriented personalities, those who approach life with energy and engagement, correlate with greater learning and cognitive development across the lifespan. These individuals tend to seek out stimulating experiences, ask questions, pursue interests, and engage actively with information. This orientation creates a virtuous cycle where curiosity leads to learning, which fuels further curiosity. As you drift closer to sleep, appreciate how engagement with life nurtures mental vitality. This engagement doesn't require constant activity, but rather an attitude of interest and openness to experience. Even in quieter moments, the active mind continues to make connections, process information, and generate insights. This natural learning process continues throughout life, with each stage offering new opportunities for growth and understanding. The interplay between emotion and cognition reveals fascinating patterns. Anxiety, even in high IQ individuals, hampers reasoning performance in measurable ways. When we feel anxious, working memory capacity decreases, attention narrows, and flexible thinking becomes more difficult. The brilliant student who blanks during an exam, the capable professional who stumbles during a presentation, both experience how emotional states can temporarily override cognitive abilities. This interaction reminds us that intelligence isn't separate from emotion, but deeply intertwined with it. As your body becomes increasingly heavy and comfortable, consider how emotional balance supports clear thinking. The practices that cultivate calm, whether meditation, time in nature, or meaningful connection, don't just feel good, but actually enhance cognitive function. This integration of emotional and intellectual well-being creates the conditions for both clarity and creativity. Our personality traits, while relatively stable, remain responsive to certain interventions. Cognitive behavioral therapy has been shown to modify personality traits, lessening perfectionism and boosting openness. Through structured reflection and gradual behavior change, people can shift patterns that once seemed fixed. The perfectionist might learn to set more realistic standards and practice self-compassion when falling short. Someone low in openness might deliberately expose themselves to new experiences, gradually expanding their comfort zone. These changes don't happen overnight, but emerge through consistent practice and reflection. As your awareness continues to soften, appreciate how this malleability creates space for growth throughout life. While our core tendencies may remain, their expression can become more flexible and adaptive over time, allowing greater choice in how we respond to life's challenges and opportunities. The process of identity exploration, questioning, considering alternatives, and making commitments can be enhanced through targeted interventions in schools, therapy, or other supportive contexts. Programs that encourage adolescents to reflect on values, explore possible futures, and connect with mentors can accelerate healthy identity development. Therapeutic approaches that create safe spaces for questioning inherited beliefs and exploring authentic preferences can help adults who feel disconnected from themselves. These interventions don't impose identity, but rather create conditions where natural exploration can flourish. As you prepare to drift into sleep, consider how your own identity has been shaped by environments that either supported or hindered exploration. The questions we're encouraged to ask, the possibilities we're exposed to, the feedback we receive, all influence how we come to understand ourselves. Yet even with limited support, the human drive towards self-understanding continues to unfold throughout life. Personality traits interact with environments to shape identity development in complex ways. Research suggests that extroversion boosts racial identity exploration, particularly in responsive school environments. The extroverted student who feels comfortable asking questions and initiating conversations may engage more actively with cultural heritage when the environment welcomes such exploration. This interaction between internal traits and external contexts reminds us that identity development is neither purely individual nor purely social, but emerges at their intersection. As your breath continues its gentle rhythm, appreciate how your own personality has influenced your approach to understanding different aspects of identity. Some of us explore through conversation, others through reading or reflection. Some seek variety of experience, others depth of understanding. Each approach offers different gifts on the journey toward self-knowledge. Certain personality traits align particularly well with productive identity growth over time. Openness to experience creates receptivity to new possibilities and perspectives. Conscientiousness provides the persistence needed to explore deeply rather than superficially. Together, these traits support a journey of identity development that is both expansive and grounded. The open person remains curious about different ways of being, while the conscientious person commits to integrating these explorations into a coherent sense of self. As you drift toward deeper relaxation, consider how these natural tendencies might manifest in your own approach to self-understanding. Perhaps you've noticed how curiosity about different perspectives enriches your sense of who you are, or how commitment to values provides continuity amid change. These natural tendencies create pathways for growth that feel authentic rather than forced. The relationship between neuroticism and identity development follows an
Welcome to our journey through the fascinating world of personality and self-identity. As you listen, allow yourself to relax, letting each word gently guide you toward peaceful rest. There's no need to remember anything. Simply let these ideas float through your mind like soft clouds across an evening sky. Personal identity emerges from a unique mix of traits, experiences, beliefs, and social roles. Like a river formed by countless tributaries, your sense of self has been shaped by every moment you've lived, every person you've met, every challenge you've faced. This intricate tapestry is yours alone, a constellation of elements that has never existed before and will never be replicated. As you breathe deeply, consider how remarkable it is that among billions of people, your particular combination of qualities creates something entirely unique. This uniqueness isn't something you need to prove or defend, it simply exists, as natural as the rhythm of your breathing.
The gentle current of our thoughts now flows toward how we categorize these unique constellations. Personality types organize people into profiles like those found in the Myers-Briggs system. Perhaps you've encountered terms like INTP or ENFJ. These frameworks are based on preference dichotomies, suggesting we naturally lean towards certain ways of engaging with the world. Some of us draw energy from social connection, while others recharge in solitude. Some navigate by logic and analysis, others by values and emotional resonance. These preferences aren't rigid boxes, but rather comfortable pathways we tend to walk. As you rest, remember that these categories are merely tools for understanding, gentle lenses that bring certain aspects of human nature into focus while allowing others to remain beautifully complex. Within the landscape of identity lies a fascinating duality. Self-identity includes both an I aspect, the awareness that observes and experiences, and a me aspect, comprising social roles and memories. The I is like the clear sky of consciousness, while the me is like the changing weather patterns that move across it. Your I witnesses your life unfolding, while your me collects the stories that give your life meaning. As you drift deeper into relaxation, notice how your awareness remains even as thoughts come and go. This witnessing presence has been with you through every change, every role, every chapter of your life story. Personality researchers have mapped 5 major dimensions that appear across cultures. The Big Five model identifies openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism as fundamental aspects of personality. Like the primary colors that blend to create countless hues, these 5 dimensions combine in varying intensities to create the rich palette of human character. Openness reflects curiosity about ideas and experiences. Conscientiousness speaks to organization and responsibility. Extroversion captures social energy and expressiveness. Agreeableness encompasses compassion and cooperation. Neuroticism reflects emotional sensitivity. As you rest, there's no need to analyze where you might fall on these dimensions. Simply appreciate the beautiful complexity they represent in yourself and others. The river of personality flows with remarkable consistency through time. Personality traits reflect patterns in thoughts and behaviors and show general stability across situations and years. Like the course of a river that may shift slightly but maintains its essential direction, your core tendencies tend to persist even as circumstances change. This continuity provides a comforting thread of familiarity throughout life's journey. Yet rivers also respond to their environments, sometimes flowing faster, sometimes more gently. Similarly, your traits may express themselves differently across contexts while maintaining their essential nature. As you breathe deeply, appreciate this dance between consistency and adaptability that allows you to be both recognizable and responsive. The seeds of self-concept begin sprouting in early childhood. This understanding of who you are evolves by blending self-image, self-esteem, and the ideal self. Self-image is how you see yourself, the reflection in the mirror of your mind. Self-esteem is how you value that reflection, the warmth or coolness with which you regard yourself. The ideal self represents aspirations, the person you hope to become. These elements weave together like threads in a tapestry, creating a picture that becomes more nuanced with each passing year. As children, we begin with simple brushstrokes of identity. With time, the portrait gains depth and subtlety. As you rest, consider how your own self-concept has evolved, becoming richer and more complex with each chapter of your life story.
Identity never forms in isolation, but always within the embrace of culture. Cultural contexts shape how identity is formed, influencing gender, class, and ethnicity roles. Like plants that grow differently depending on their soil and climate, our sense of self develops within particular cultural landscapes. Some cultures emphasize individual achievement, while others prioritize community harmony. Some define clear gender roles, while others allow more fluidity. These cultural patterns become the background music of identity, sometimes barely noticed, yet profoundly influential. As you drift toward sleep, appreciate how your own identity has been nourished by cultural streams, whether you followed their flow or sometimes moved against the current. Even something as seemingly simple as a name carries subtle influence. Names shape personality traits by being the first social lens others use to interpret behavior. From your earliest moments, your name has been a sound that turns heads, captures attention, and creates expectations. Research suggests that people may unconsciously lean into the associations their names carry, whether cultural meanings, famous namesakes, or simply the sounds themselves. A name becomes a gentle invitation to embody certain qualities. As you breathe deeply, consider your own name as a soft whisper that has accompanied you through every moment of your life journey, both a label and a living part of who you are. The physical foundation of identity lies within the intricate architecture of the brain. Regions like the prefrontal cortex underpin identity by integrating past experiences into a coherent narrative. This remarkable organ, with its billions of connections, somehow creates the experience of being you. Memories are not simply stored like files in a cabinet, but are actively reconstructed each time they are recalled, allowing your sense of self to remain both stable and adaptable. The prefrontal cortex, just behind your forehead, helps weave disparate experiences into the tapestry of your life story. As you rest, imagine the gentle activity of neurons that maintains your unique perspective, even as your conscious mind begins to drift toward sleep. The journey toward self-recognition begins in early childhood. Mirror self-recognition emerges around 18 months, providing a foundation for later identity development. When a toddler first realizes that the image in the mirror is me, a profound shift occurs. This simple recognition, touching a spot of rouge on their nose after seeing it in the mirror, marks the beginning of understanding oneself as a distinct being in the world. From this seed grows the ability to reflect on one's own thoughts, feelings, and actions. As you settle more deeply into relaxation, remember that your capacity for self-awareness has been with you since those early days, gradually expanding from simple recognition to the rich inner landscape you now inhabit. As we conclude this first exploration of personality and identity, allow these ideas to gently fade into the background. There's no need to hold on to them or analyze them further. Like stars appearing in the evening sky, they will remain present whether you focus on them or not. Continue breathing slowly and deeply, letting your body become heavier and more comfortable with each breath. The journey toward sleep is a letting go of thoughts, of awareness, of the day's concerns. Allow yourself to drift now, carried by the gentle current of your breath toward peaceful rest.
As we continue our gentle exploration of personality and identity, allow yourself to settle more deeply into comfort. Feel the weight of your body supported completely, your breath finding its natural rhythm. These ideas will flow around you like a peaceful stream, requiring nothing from you but to listen and rest. Adolescence marks a fascinating neural shift
that enhances autonomy and identity development. During these transformative years, the brain undergoes a remarkable reorganization. Connections between neurons are pruned and refined, while the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for complex decision-making, continues its gradual maturation. This biological transformation creates the perfect conditions for questioning inherited beliefs and exploring new possibilities. Like a garden being prepared for new growth, the adolescent brain becomes especially receptive to identity formation. The heightened emotional intensity of these years serves a purpose, creating memorable experiences that become integrated into the emerging sense of self. As you breathe deeply, perhaps you can recall the intensity of your own adolescent years, not to analyze them, but simply to acknowledge how they contributed to who you are today. Those moments of uncertainty, discovery, and sometimes discomfort were not random, but part of a natural unfolding of your unique identity. Within this adolescent journey, psychologists have identified what they call moratorium phases, periods of deliberation and exploration without commitment that drive adolescent identity growth. These phases might appear as trying on different styles, exploring various friend groups, or experimenting with different activities and interests. Like a traveler who wanders without a fixed destination, adolescents in moratorium are gathering experiences that will eventually inform their choices. This exploration isn't aimless, but serves as a necessary foundation for later commitments. The teenager who cycles through different music genres, fashion choices, or social circles isn't being fickle, but is engaged in important identity work. As your body becomes heavier and more relaxed, appreciate how your own personality has influenced your approach to self-discovery. The path you've walked has been shaped by your natural tendencies, creating a journey uniquely suited to who you are. The development of identity in teenagers follows what researchers call a curvilinear path, more dynamic than in early childhood. Rather than progressing in a straight line, identity development accelerates during adolescence, with periods of rapid change followed by integration and consolidation. Like a river that sometimes flows gently and at other times navigates rapids, the teenage journey towards selfhood has varying intensities. Early adolescence often brings questioning of childhood identifications. Middle adolescence may feature active exploration of alternatives. Late adolescence typically involves beginning to make commitments based on these explorations. As you drift toward deeper relaxation, remember that this winding path is natural and necessary. The questions, uncertainties, and occasional turbulence of adolescence create the conditions for a more authentic and resilient sense of self to emerge. Researchers have identified a fascinating personality dimension called the plasticity metatrait, which links to identity change rates, with openness accelerating exploration. This metatrait reflects how readily we adapt to new circumstances and incorporate new experiences. Those high in plasticity tend to seek novelty and remain flexible in their self-concept. They might change careers more readily, adapt to new cultures with ease, or regularly revise their understanding of themselves. Those lower in plasticity tend to find comfort in consistency and build identity through deepening existing commitments rather than seeking new ones. As your breath continues its gentle rhythm, consider the beautiful balance between exploration and commitment in your own life. Some seasons call for openness to change, while others invite deepening what already exists. Both contribute to the rich tapestry of who you are becoming. Beyond the Big Five model we explored earlier, the Execo model adds a sixth dimension, honesty-humility, which distinguishes sincerity from manipulation. This dimension captures differences in how people approach relationships with others. Those high in honesty-humility tend to interact with others straightforwardly, without excessive concern for status or material gain. They may avoid exploiting others even when opportunities arise. Those lower on this dimension might be more strategic in relationships, perhaps more willing to bend rules for personal advantage. This dimension reminds us that personality extends beyond how we process information or respond emotionally. It also encompasses our ethical orientation to others. As you rest, there's no need to evaluate yourself on this dimension. Simply appreciate the complex interplay of factors that shape how we move through the world and relate to those around us. The influential psychologist Hans Eysenck developed a model that prioritizes extroversion and neuroticism to explain behavior patterns like shyness. Eysenck proposed that these two dimensions could account for many of the differences we observe in human temperament. Extroversion reflects our orientation to external stimulation, whether we seek it out or prefer quieter environments. Neuroticism captures our emotional reactivity, whether we respond intensely to challenges or maintain emotional equilibrium. The shy person in Eysenck's framework might be low in extroversion and high in neuroticism, experiencing both social hesitancy and heightened emotional responses to social situations. As your body becomes increasingly heavy and comfortable, consider how these basic dimensions might not just influence behavior, but our entire experience of the world. The same event might feel entirely different depending on where we fall on these continuums. The Enneagram offers another lens for understanding personality, describing 9 types with distinct motivational patterns. Types like the loyalist embody an interesting paradox, anxious about security, yet deeply loyal to others. The challenger type represents another fascinating combination, assertive and strong-willed, yet potentially confrontational when feeling threatened. Each Enneagram type represents not just behaviors, but underlying motivations and challenges. The loyalist seeks certainty in an uncertain world. The challenger strives to maintain strength and independence in the face of vulnerability. Other types include the perfectionist, the helper, the achiever, the individualist, the investigator, the enthusiast, and the peacemaker, each with their own core motivations and challenges. As you drift closer to sleep, you might gently consider which patterns resonate with your own experience, not to label yourself, but to appreciate the complex tapestry of human motivation. When researchers analyze large data sets of personality measures, 5 replicable prototypes consistently emerge from the Big Five model. These include resilient types, who adapt well to challenges, over-controller types, who tend toward caution and restraint, under-controller types, who may act impulsively, reserved types, who maintain emotional privacy, and confident types, who approach life with assurance. Unlike categorical systems that place people in distinct boxes, these prototypes represent common patterns or clusters of traits that tend to appear together. Most people show elements of multiple prototypes rather than fitting perfectly into one. As your awareness begins to soften around the edges, appreciate how these different patterns might appear in different contexts or life stages. The resilience that serves you in one situation might give way to caution in another, each response arising naturally from the wisdom of your unique personality. Some personality frameworks add another dimension to their types, the distinction between assertive A identity types who show calm. As we continue our gentle exploration of personality and identity, allow yourself to settle even more deeply into comfort. Feel your body becoming heavier with each breath, your mind becoming quieter. These ideas will flow around you like soft moonlight, illuminating without demanding your attention. People demonstrate what psychologists call moderate self-insight, often accurate about their core traits, but surprisingly blind to their own biases. We generally know whether we tend toward introversion or extroversion, whether we're organized or spontaneous. Yet when it comes to our blind spots, our prejudices, our habitual patterns of thought, we often lack awareness. Like trying to see the back of our own head without a mirror, certain aspects of ourselves remain hidden from direct view. This is not a flaw, but simply part of being human. We all have areas where our self-perception is clear and others where it's clouded. As you breathe deeply, consider how this partial self-knowledge creates space for continuous discovery throughout life. Each relationship, each challenge, each moment of reflection offers a new angle from which to glimpse previously unseen aspects of yourself. This ongoing revelation is not something to rush, but a gentle unfolding that continues throughout life. Our emotional landscape includes a special category called self-conscious emotions, shame, guilt, pride, that emerge from self-evaluation and drive social behavior. Unlike basic emotions like fear or joy that can exist in many species, these complex feelings require self-awareness. They arise when we evaluate our actions against internal standards or social expectations. Pride warms us when we meet or exceed these standards. Guilt nudges us when we violated our own values. Shame washes over us when we feel fundamentally inadequate. These feelings serve as internal guides, helping us navigate social worlds and maintain relationships. As your body relaxes more deeply, notice how these self-conscious emotions have shaped your own path. Perhaps pride motivated perseverance, guilt prompted amends, or shame signaled a need for self-compassion. These feelings, though sometimes uncomfortable, are messengers carrying important information about our values and connections. Self-esteem functions as a remarkably stable trait across the lifespan, predicting important life outcomes and mental health. Like a psychological immune system, healthy self-esteem provides resilience against life's inevitable disappointments and criticisms. Those with robust self-esteem tend to recover more quickly from setbacks, maintain healthier relationships, and experience less anxiety and depression. Yet self-esteem isn't simply about feeling good about oneself. It's about having an accurate, compassionate self-perception that acknowledges both strengths and limitations. As you drift toward deeper relaxation, consider how your relationship with yourself has evolved over time. Perhaps there have been periods of harsh self-judgment and others of greater self-acceptance. This journey toward balanced self-regard continues throughout life, with each experience offering an opportunity to develop a more nuanced appreciation of your unique constellation of qualities. Psychologists have identified different approaches to identity formation, including what they call diffuse avoidant identity styles, which link to lower levels of openness, agreeableness, and conscientiousness, often hindering commitment. Those with this style tend to postpone identity-related decisions, avoiding deep exploration or firm commitments. They might drift from one interest to another without developing expertise, or maintain superficial relationships without vulnerability. This approach may provide temporary freedom, but often leads to a sense of disconnection over time. As your breath continues its gentle rhythm, consider how commitment and exploration balance in your own life. There are seasons for keeping options open and seasons for deepening roots. Neither is inherently better. Each serves different purposes at different times. The wisdom lies in recognizing which season you're in and what it calls for. Our understanding of how others perceive us, what psychologists call meta-perceptions, varies in accuracy depending on the trait. We tend to have more accurate meta-perceptions for visible traits, like extroversion, than for inner experiences, like neuroticism. We can generally tell whether others see us as talkative or reserved, but we're less accurate at gauging whether they perceive us as anxious or calm. This makes intuitive sense. We can observe others' reactions to our social behavior, but we have less access to how they interpret our emotional states. As you settle more deeply into relaxation, appreciate this interplay between inner experience and outer perception. Your sense of self exists at this intersection, neither wholly private nor entirely social, but a continuous dialogue between your internal landscape and your connections with others. The way we organize our self-concept has profound implications for well-being. Compartmentalized self-concepts, those that separate positive and negative traits into distinct categories, often reduce authenticity. Someone with a compartmentalized self-concept might see themselves as completely competent at work, but totally inadequate in relationships, with little integration between these domains. This fragmentation can create a sense of being different people in different contexts, leading to inner conflict and disconnection. As your awareness becomes increasingly peaceful, consider the natural connections between different aspects of yourself. The sensitivity that might create challenges in one area might enable deep empathy in another. The determination that drives achievement might also manifest as loyalty in relationships. These connections create a more coherent, authentic sense of self that acknowledges complexity without fragmentation. In contrast to compartmentalization, individuals with positive integration of self-concepts report more grounded, authentic identity experiences. This integration doesn't mean seeing oneself as perfect. Rather, it involves acknowledging both strengths and limitations while recognizing their interconnections. Someone with an integrated self-concept might understand how their perfectionism creates both professional excellence and personal stress, seeing these as connected aspects of the same underlying trait. This integration allows for greater self-acceptance and more authentic connections with others. As you drift closer to sleep, imagine the different aspects of yourself, roles, traits, experiences, gently flowing together like streams joining to form a river. This natural integration doesn't require effort, but simply permission to be wholly yourself across contexts. Our sense of self-worth can take different forms, with important implications for well-being. Contingent self-worth tends to rise with compartmentalization, becoming fragile during setbacks despite high external success. Those with highly contingent self-worth may appear confident when succeeding, but experience devastating drops in self-regard when facing failure. Their sense of value depends on specific achievements or others' approval rather than a stable inner foundation. Like a house built on sand, this form of self-worth remains vulnerable to shifting circumstances. As your body becomes increasingly heavy and comfortable, consider the difference between valuing what you do and valuing who you are. Achievements and recognition naturally bring satisfaction, but when they become the primary source of self-worth, they create dependency on external validation. True security comes from a deeper recognition of inherent worth that persists regardless of performance. A positively integrated self-structure fulfills core psychological needs without requiring constant social validation. This integration creates what psychologists call true self-esteem, a stable sense of worth based on self-knowledge and self-acceptance rather than external markers of success. Those with this integrated structure can appreciate praise without depending on it, and can weather criticism without being devastated by it. They can pursue goals motivated by genuine interest rather than fear of failure. This integration supports autonomy, self-direction, competence, effectiveness, and relatedness, meaningful connection, the three psychological needs identified as universal across cultures. As your awareness continues to As we continue our gentle exploration of personality and identity, allow yourself to settle even more deeply into comfort. With each breath, feel yourself becoming heavier, your thoughts becoming quieter. These ideas will flow around you like a gentle stream, requiring nothing from you but to listen and rest. While we often think of personality traits as fixed characteristics, they actually vary from day to day, especially under stress. Conscientiousness, our tendency toward organization and responsibility, may noticeably dip when we're under pressure. The person who normally keeps meticulous records might find papers scattered during particularly demanding periods. The reliable friend who never forgets appointments might become forgetful during times of emotional strain. This natural fluctuation doesn't mean personality isn't real. Rather, it reflects how our core tendencies express themselves differently across contexts. Like a river that widens or narrows depending on the landscape, our traits expand and contract in response to circumstances. As you breathe deeply, consider how this flexibility serves an important purpose, allowing adaptation to changing conditions. The temporary loosening of conscientiousness during stress might create space for spontaneity or rest. These variations aren't failures, but natural adjustments that help us navigate life's changing demands. Our personality styles emerge from a fascinating interplay between nature and nurture. Research with twins suggests heritability for traits is typically between 30 to 50%, with especially high genetic influence for extroversion and neuroticism. Yet even these inherited tendencies require the right environments to find expression. Like seeds that need particular soil and climate conditions to flourish, our genetic predispositions interact with our experiences to shape who we become. Someone born with a genetic tendency toward extroversion might become more or less sociable depending on family dynamics, cultural values, and life experiences. As your body relaxes more deeply, appreciate this dance between inheritance and experience that has shaped your own unique constellation of traits. Neither genetics nor environment alone determines who we are. It is their continuous interaction throughout life that creates the rich tapestry of human individuality. The strength of our self-identity serves a remarkable buffer against peer pressure. Those with stronger, more developed identities demonstrate greater resistance to social conformity. When we have a clear sense of our values, preferences, and boundaries, external influences hold less sway. The teenager with a well-developed identity might comfortably decline invitations that don't align with their values, while their peer with a less defined sense of self might yield to group pressure. This buffering effect continues throughout life, protecting against unhealthy relationships, manipulative marketing, or social environments that don't support well-being. As your awareness becomes increasingly peaceful, consider how your own sense of self has provided guidance in navigating social worlds. This inner compass doesn't eliminate the natural human desire for connection, but helps ensure that connections support rather than undermine authentic self-expression. Our personality styles may be reflected in patterns of brain activation. Emotional and feeling-oriented styles tend to activate regions in the right hemisphere, while logical and pragmatic approaches engage more left hemisphere activity. The person who makes decisions primarily through emotional resonance might show different patterns of neural activity than someone who relies more on analytical reasoning. Neither pattern is superior. Each represents a different way of processing information and navigating the world. As you drift closer to sleep, appreciate how these complementary approaches enrich human experience. The emotional sensitivity that helps one person maintain close relationships might be balanced by the logical clarity that helps another solve complex problems. Together, these different styles create communities capable of both compassion and innovation, both emotional depth and practical solutions. Brain imaging studies have revealed that material or pragmatic personality types show different patterns of neural response compared to intuitive or imaginative ones. When presented with the same stimuli, these different types may literally see the world differently, with attention drawn to different aspects of experience. The pragmatic type might notice practical details and immediate applications, while the intuitive type might perceive patterns and possibilities. These differences appear in functional MRI studies, suggesting they reflect fundamental variations in how information is processed. As your body becomes increasingly heavy and comfortable, consider how these different perceptual styles contribute to human adaptation. The pragmatic focus on concrete reality helps address immediate needs, while the intuitive awareness of possibilities enables innovation and meaning-making. Each perspective reveals different aspects of truth, together creating a more complete understanding than either could alone. Among the vast diversity of personality types, researchers have identified an especially rare profile they call Type O resilience, characterized by exceptional adaptability and emotional stability. Only about 1 to 2% of people demonstrate this unusual combination of traits. These individuals tend to maintain equilibrium across widely varying circumstances, adapting readily to change while maintaining inner stability. They often recover quickly from setbacks, find opportunities in challenges, and remain emotionally balanced even under significant pressure. As your awareness continues to soften, consider how resilience manifests in your own life. While the extreme resilience of Type O may be rare, resilience itself exists on a spectrum, with different people showing different capacities for adaptation and recovery. This capacity can be cultivated throughout life through practices that build self-awareness, emotional regulation, and flexible thinking. Carl Jung described certain rare personality developments that emerge through the integration of what he called the shadow, disowned or unconscious aspects of the self. These uncommon paths involve developing differentiated consciousness through adversity and shadow integration. Rather than avoiding difficult emotions or rejecting uncomfortable aspects of themselves, these individuals engage directly with their inner contradictions and challenges. Through this engagement, they develop unusual depth and wholeness. As you prepare to drift into sleep, consider how your own challenges might contain invitations for growth.
The aspects of yourself that seem most problematic might, when approached with curiosity rather than judgment, reveal unexpected gifts. The sensitivity that creates vulnerability in some contexts might enable profound empathy in others. The intensity that sometimes overwhelms might also fuel passion and creativity when channeled constructively. While personality traits normally distribute along bell curves, with most people clustering near the middle, atypical Big Five profiles with extreme or scattered subscale patterns might indicate personality disorders or unusual developmental paths. Someone with extremely high neuroticism combined with extremely low agreeableness, for instance, might experience significant interpersonal difficulties. These unusual configurations reflect complex interactions between biological vulnerabilities and environmental challenges. Yet even these atypical patterns contain adaptive elements, traits that may create difficulties in some contexts but serve important functions in others. As your breath continues its gentle rhythm, remember that all personality patterns represent attempts to navigate life's complexities. Even challenging traits often began as creative adaptations to difficult circumstances. With awareness and support, these patterns can gradually shift toward greater flexibility and balance. When researchers analyze personality data across different populations, they sometimes discover unusual group deviations that cause cross-loadings on factor models, patterns that don't fit neatly into expected categories. These might appear in culturally distinct groups with value systems that shape personality in unique ways. For instance, in some collectivist cultures, traits that Western models separate into different factors, like agreeableness and conscientiousness, might appear more interconnected. These deviations remind us that personality frameworks, while useful, are always shaped by cultural contexts. As you drift toward deeper relaxation, appreciate how human diversity extends beyond any single model or framework. The rich tapestry of human personality contains patterns that transcend our current understanding, inviting continuous exploration and refinement of how we can.
Our personality traits reach far beyond momentary behaviors, influencing life trajectories in profound ways. Research has shown that personality predicts job longevity, success, and even lifespan. Those high in conscientiousness tend to live longer, perhaps through healthier habits and greater medical adherence. Those with higher extroversion and lower neuroticism often report greater job satisfaction and may advance more quickly in careers requiring social skills. These patterns don't determine destiny, but rather reflect tendencies that unfold over time through countless small choices and interactions. As you breathe deeply, consider how your own natural tendencies have shaped your path, not as limitations, but as currents that have carried you in certain directions. These currents don't control your journey, but provide a context within which you navigate, sometimes flowing with them, sometimes moving across them toward different shores. The clarity of our identity, how well we understand who we are and what matters to us, predicts higher career satisfaction and stronger commitment. When we have a clear sense of our values, strengths, and purposes, we can make choices that align with our authentic selves. This alignment creates a sense of coherence and meaning that sustains motivation even through challenges. Someone with clear identity might choose a career path that feels like a natural expression of who they are, rather than simply a way to earn a living. As your body relaxes more deeply, appreciate how self-knowledge creates the foundation for meaningful engagement with the world. This clarity doesn't require having everything figured out, but rather maintaining an ongoing dialogue with yourself about what feels true and important. This inner conversation continues throughout life,
with each experience offering new insights about who you are and what matters most. For many people, work becomes more than just a way to earn a living. It becomes part of who they are. This occupational identity, where work serves as a core self-symbol, links strongly with meaning and purpose. The teacher who sees education as a calling, the artist who expresses their vision through creation, the healthcare worker who embodies compassion through service, all experience work as an expression of identity, rather than merely a role. This integration can create profound satisfaction, but also carries risks. When work becomes too central to identity, setbacks in career can feel like personal failures, and the boundaries between professional and personal life may blur, increasing burnout risk. As your awareness becomes increasingly peaceful, consider the place of work in your own sense of self. Perhaps certain activities or contributions feel particularly aligned with who you are, creating a sense of authenticity when engaged in them. This alignment brings richness to life while also inviting reflection on balance. Our personality traits influence not just what we do, but how we learn and develop cognitively. Activity-oriented personalities, those who approach life with energy and engagement, correlate with greater learning and cognitive development across the lifespan. These individuals tend to seek out stimulating experiences, ask questions, pursue interests, and engage actively with information. This orientation creates a virtuous cycle where curiosity leads to learning, which fuels further curiosity. As you drift closer to sleep, appreciate how engagement with life nurtures mental vitality. This engagement doesn't require constant activity, but rather an attitude of interest and openness to experience. Even in quieter moments, the active mind continues to make connections, process information, and generate insights. This natural learning process continues throughout life, with each stage offering new opportunities for growth and understanding. The interplay between emotion and cognition reveals fascinating patterns. Anxiety, even in high IQ individuals, hampers reasoning performance in measurable ways. When we feel anxious, working memory capacity decreases, attention narrows, and flexible thinking becomes more difficult. The brilliant student who blanks during an exam, the capable professional who stumbles during a presentation, both experience how emotional states can temporarily override cognitive abilities. This interaction reminds us that intelligence isn't separate from emotion, but deeply intertwined with it. As your body becomes increasingly heavy and comfortable, consider how emotional balance supports clear thinking. The practices that cultivate calm, whether meditation, time in nature, or meaningful connection, don't just feel good, but actually enhance cognitive function. This integration of emotional and intellectual well-being creates the conditions for both clarity and creativity. Our personality traits, while relatively stable, remain responsive to certain interventions. Cognitive behavioral therapy has been shown to modify personality traits, lessening perfectionism and boosting openness. Through structured reflection and gradual behavior change, people can shift patterns that once seemed fixed. The perfectionist might learn to set more realistic standards and practice self-compassion when falling short. Someone low in openness might deliberately expose themselves to new experiences, gradually expanding their comfort zone. These changes don't happen overnight, but emerge through consistent practice and reflection. As your awareness continues to soften, appreciate how this malleability creates space for growth throughout life. While our core tendencies may remain, their expression can become more flexible and adaptive over time, allowing greater choice in how we respond to life's challenges and opportunities. The process of identity exploration, questioning, considering alternatives, and making commitments can be enhanced through targeted interventions in schools, therapy, or other supportive contexts. Programs that encourage adolescents to reflect on values, explore possible futures, and connect with mentors can accelerate healthy identity development. Therapeutic approaches that create safe spaces for questioning inherited beliefs and exploring authentic preferences can help adults who feel disconnected from themselves. These interventions don't impose identity, but rather create conditions where natural exploration can flourish. As you prepare to drift into sleep, consider how your own identity has been shaped by environments that either supported or hindered exploration. The questions we're encouraged to ask, the possibilities we're exposed to, the feedback we receive, all influence how we come to understand ourselves. Yet even with limited support, the human drive towards self-understanding continues to unfold throughout life. Personality traits interact with environments to shape identity development in complex ways. Research suggests that extroversion boosts racial identity exploration, particularly in responsive school environments. The extroverted student who feels comfortable asking questions and initiating conversations may engage more actively with cultural heritage when the environment welcomes such exploration. This interaction between internal traits and external contexts reminds us that identity development is neither purely individual nor purely social, but emerges at their intersection. As your breath continues its gentle rhythm, appreciate how your own personality has influenced your approach to understanding different aspects of identity. Some of us explore through conversation, others through reading or reflection. Some seek variety of experience, others depth of understanding. Each approach offers different gifts on the journey toward self-knowledge. Certain personality traits align particularly well with productive identity growth over time. Openness to experience creates receptivity to new possibilities and perspectives. Conscientiousness provides the persistence needed to explore deeply rather than superficially. Together, these traits support a journey of identity development that is both expansive and grounded. The open person remains curious about different ways of being, while the conscientious person commits to integrating these explorations into a coherent sense of self. As you drift toward deeper relaxation, consider how these natural tendencies might manifest in your own approach to self-understanding. Perhaps you've noticed how curiosity about different perspectives enriches your sense of who you are, or how commitment to values provides continuity amid change. These natural tendencies create pathways for growth that feel authentic rather than forced. The relationship between neuroticism and identity development follows an